Universal 7 Governance and Management System is proudly presenting. Law is information. Send this video to every attorney, lawyer, judge, jurist, law professor, and activist you know. What does this mean? 10 answers will shock you. 1. Law is information, means that it can be translated and stored in electronic form. It used to be that law firms had to have the collection of legal decisions in books that took too much space to store. Money won cases. Searching for precedents by reading from books took ages. Ignorance lost cases. Laws are stored in electronic files that can be searched in fractions of a second. Computers win cases. Still, the law firms with the highest capacity to do searches have an advantage over smaller firms which are less economically endowed. To win a case away from stare decisis requires a very knowledgeable judge to take the plunge. Better informed attorneys have a better chance of convincing. 2. Law is information. Means that everything you can say about information you can apply to law. Therefore, law is subject to the same natural laws as information, the laws of control and communications found in nature. The world of ought and is, should walk hand in hand. Law has to be transmitted from one person to another, and gets corrupted in the process. Law is the invisible stuff that puts a society together. Because of the COVID-19 we are watching Congress work from home offices, proves the point. Law is a very important ingredient of a highly complex system called the nation-state. If attorneys, judges, lawyers, law professors, jurists, policemen, and activists do not understand the nature of law, they are bound to make huge mistakes, as is happening right now. 3. Law is information. Means that law is control information. That is its nature. You can use it to punish people and stop them from doing something, or you can reward people to shape their behavior. You can use law to build better buildings and safer highways. But too much regulation brings entropy, the reverse of information, confusion and stalemate. Law builds the institutions that apply the law and protect its existence. Society cannot operate in the absence of law. Defunding the police is an artifice to protect organized crime and eventually destroy society. The nation-state is the result of society imposing law on itself to create a huge regulator of behavior that is capable of becoming a viable system on its own. 4. Law is information. Means that many discussions about law have been useless. During many centuries, jurists have had a very hard time trying to define law without using the idea of information. Saying that the law is about rules or norms that have special qualities different from the moral and ethical norms does not reach the essence. The idea that only law can coerce its rules and enforce them is not the most powerful or distinctive attribute of law. Law is an attractor. That is its power. This means that laws help create a self-organizing system that feeds upon itself to create order out of what would otherwise be a lawless, chaotic society. 5. Law is information, means that it has never been taught this way. It has never been defined this way, at all. Law schools are still living in the dark ages when it comes to law. That the legal profession really doesn't take a hard look at the system it is a part of. That society pays a huge price for the lack of systems knowledge on behalf of the legal profession and the legal community at large. That the problems from lack of justice in society begins in law schools. 6. Law is information, means that it belongs in a world of complexity and inevitable paradox. As part of a highly complex system, the law is prone to face paradox very often. Law embraces contradictory values in order to maintain society in equilibrium. For instance, justice and security are conflicting values. This explains the reason for the existence of statutes of limitations. Every case before a judge has at least two ways to look at it, and can be decided in an almost infinite number of ways. Law pretends to be about logic, but often it is not. It is about self-balancing homeostats interacting among themselves. Activist judges really create law, though they are not aware that by destroying the balance of justice, they are destroying society itself. Defunding cops is another example. 7. Law is information, means that the adversarial judicial process is a flimsy assumption. Justice requires cooperation as much as competition. The adversarial process to determine the truth is a very defective system. Procedural laws try to produce the cooperation of the parties to facilitate the function of the judge and jury, but fails. The enormous cost of full cooperation and knowing and communicating all the facts perfectly allows many guilty persons to go free. A defective adversarial process teaches people to become better and better delinquents. Society is setting free, hardened criminals, who now want to defund the police. Lawyers and judges are next. 8. Law is information, means that applying law often produces counterintuitive results. The more the ACLU influences legislation to apparently protect minorities, as in for example the rules for search and seizure, and the right to remain silent, the more they entice those minorities to try to beat the law. The law needs to walk away from certainty, and start using some basis statistics to adopt prevention strategies while reducing to a minimum the cancellation of some civil rights, especially in matters of privacy. The right to remain silent must be revised. You alter the system in one way, and it compensates in another, far worse. Police interrogation tactics frequently violate this right, so why ignore this? The purpose of a system is what the system does, applies to both the police and the criminal elements in society. 9. Law is information, means that cybernetics and complexity sciences are the scientific basis for creating effective legal systems. It is now possible to analyze millions of judicial decisions using artificial intelligence to find trends in the evolution of law. To ignore these modern information processing capabilities in the legal system is a collective shame. There are obvious flaws in legal systems all over the world. For instance, all judicial interpretations of any law should be systematically revised by legislators to be adopted or repealed within the end of the fiscal year. The assumption that an ordinary citizen knows all the law is absurd. There are better ways to educate society about how the law really works. All new legislation should enter in effect once or twice a year, in a known date. 10. Law is information, means that the persistent use of legalese is a way to prevent society from demanding better performance from the legal community. Lawyers, attorneys, judges and law professors are no different from other professions when they try to maintain their monopoly, in order to maximize the earnings extracted from the rest of society. That is it. Draw your own conclusions. Now share this video with attorneys and law professors you know. Get discussions started.